Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Tuesday live stream. We got a lot of things to go over, so let's just jump right into it. So first of all, before we actually get into the big stories today, because let's be honest, the market has not been kind to us so far. I think the market is a little bit irrational, but again, the market can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. And that is really just the truth of what is happening. But if we take a look at, I think the things that are happening, first, I want to make mention of this, which is the price of Bitcoin had been plummeting all the way down to 77,000 yesterday. Correct me in the comment section, but it has never gone below the presidential election day price. And this is going back to 2012. 2012 never went below $10 once it hit that. And never went below 707 when Trump was in office the first time. And in 2020, it never fell below 14,000 after it hit that magical number, even though it came very close at 17,000. And then just recently, November 5th, 2024, it's never gone below 69,000 yet. So we'll see if it does. I wouldn't be surprised if we have another drop before we really go off. But this is just something to keep in the back of your mind that 69K is a reality, even though we've got a little bit of pump. I think we're on 82 or 83 right now. So the question is then, why are we going higher? Well, there's a bunch of different factors, but the question then becomes, why haven't we gone even lower? Well, there's many different macro factors that are going up, but here's some good news. First of all, tariffs. That's what everybody's been talking about. It's one of the reasons why we had a monstrous crash, or let's just say a pullback, or let's just say a dump in the traditional markets. Also, there was a big dump in the crypto markets as well. And actually, I believe on Monday, we lost around $1.7 trillion in value. And that was just in the traditional markets. Now, in our markets, we lost a bit, not near as much. But it all becomes this tariffs. And one of those of our trading partners would be Canada. And there was a big hubbub about Trump coming out and saying, hey, I'm going to put a 25% tariff on steel. And then when this came out, the Ontario Premier came out and said, hey, we're going to give you a tariff on 25% of all electricity. Then Trump bumped up to 50%. And now, just a couple of hours ago, this happened. Ontario Premier backs down on the U.S. electricity hikes after speaking with Trump's Commerce Secretary. And this is important about who that gentleman is and what he is doing behind the scenes with Bitcoin. So first of all, as I get into this, there's some misconstrued information on who telephoned who, and I'll let you make that decision for yourself and maybe sound off in the comment section. But here's what happened. This is out of Toronto, Associated Press. The Premier of Canada's most populous province said Tuesday he was suspending the 25% surcharge that Ontario imposed earlier this week on electricity exports to the U.S. after speaking with the U.S. Commerce Secretary and agreeing to meet him in Washington. The Commerce Secretary is, of course, Howard Lutnick. Ford, said he and Lutnick, have agreed to meet on Thursday to discuss a renewed United States-Mexico-Canada agreement ahead of U.S. President Donald Trump's April 2nd reciprocal tariff deadline. Keep that in mind. Deadline. Reciprocal tariff, April 2nd. Reciprocal tariff deadline, April 2nd. That will be a big day to keep in the back of your head about what could potentially happen with the markets. Ford said he was confident that the U.S. president would also stand down on his own plans for the 50% tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum. And this is what Ford, the Premier of Ontario, said. They call you, meaning the United States calls you, and they hand over an olive branch, a peace branch. The worst thing I could do as Premier of Ontario is ignore him and hang up the phone on him, implying what? That Trump or Lutnick made the phone call first. That's important because what Trump says is the exact opposite. He states there's a very strong man in Canada who said he was going to charge a surcharge or a tariff on electricity coming into our country. He has called and said he's not going to do that, Trump said, implying Ford called us and we said fine. And Ford said Trump called him or someone from the White House, probably Lutnick, and he said fine. So somebody's lying. But they're all politicians, and that's what politicians do. Trump states it would have been a very bad thing if he did, and he's not going to do that, and I respect that. So that's great news. But I thought what was even a bigger story was this. The Secretary of Commerce is Howard Lutnick. He is apparently still the CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald. Now, this might be old information, but he's been the CEO. He may have stepped down as he took this new position in the cabinet, which would make a lot more sense that he didn't, or that he did step down. However, I'm pretty sure he's got some pretty big ties if he did. Guess what's going on in Cantor Fitzgerald today? Well, they just announced they're going to partner with digital asset custodians Anchorage Digital to support Bitcoin financing businesses. And this is what they said. This is from Presswire. Cantor Fitzgerald today announced that Anchorage Digital and Copper CO will serve as collateral managers and custodians for the new firm's new global Bitcoin financing business, which will provide leverage to institutional investors who hold Bitcoin. And this is from Michael Cunningham, head of Bitcoin financing at Cantor Fitzgerald. I know that was even a position that was open. That's great. And he states, we are thrilled to partner with Anchor Digital, whose industry-leading security solutions will help us deliver best-in-class digital asset custody services to our clients. We are launching with $2 billion in initial financing and expect to substantially grow the operation over time. Cantor Fitzgerald, $2 billion. Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick. Howard Lutnick dealing with Canada and Ford and doing everything in between. I still don't get why people are so bearish on Bitcoin right now. It's like, if you don't believe that these guys want Bitcoin to succeed and they're putting both their feet in, I just don't know what to tell you. Anyhow, let me know what you think about that in the comment section. And there's also even more good news. We'll get to the bad news later, because I'm not going to let you off the hook that easy. You don't just come here for hopium. But this is good. U.S. resumes military aid and intelligence sharing as Ukraine says it is open to a 30-day ceasefire. Now, I'm not a geopolitical expert, nor am I an AI expert, but this is a pretty good thing. And I will just talk about this, and we can talk about it in the Q&A, but I'm not going to devolve as to why this all happened and what this means for the global geopolitical issues. This is great news. I want to see peace. I want to stop seeing people dying. I'll leave it at that. So this is what happened. The Trump administration lifted its suspension of military aid and sharing for Ukraine and Kiev, signaling it was open to a 30-day ceasefire in the war with Russia, pending Moscow's agreement. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm going to have Marco Rubio say exactly what happened. This is 43 seconds. Take a listen. Let me make sure you can actually hear this. I'm going to share my tab. 43 seconds. Here's what Rubio says about the potential ceasefire with Ukraine and Russia.
Today, we made an offer that the Ukrainians have accepted, which is to enter into a ceasefire and into immediate negotiations to end this conflict in a way that's enduring and sustainable and accounts for their interests, their security, their ability to prosper as a nation. I want to personally thank, we both want to thank the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, His Majesty, for hosting us, for making this possible. They've been instrumental in this process, and we're very grateful to them for hosting us here today. And hopefully we'll take this offer now to the Russians. And we hope that they'll say yes, to peace. The ball is now in their court. And but again, the president's objective here is, number one, above everything else, he wants the war to end. And I think today Ukraine has taken a concrete step in that regard. We hope the Russians will reciprocate. Today we made...
Great, fantastic. We can stop fighting over there and people can stop dying. That is great. So I like to see what's happening there. I will take that W. Hopefully cooler heads prevail and we get Russia to come to the table. And what is good also for everybody involved, besides the people not dying, is the fact that the markets do not like ambiguity. And when we get peace on the books, this is actually good news and we can actually move forward. So let me know what you think about that in the comment section. Also, going from world view down to state view, congratulations, Texas yet again. They doubled down on crypto with a new $250 million Bitcoin reserve bill. This is proposed legislation 4258, seeks to allocate up to $250 million from the state's Economic Stabilization Fund for Bitcoin and other assets, digital assets. Unlike the previous proposal, it explicitly caps investment and extends participation to municipalities and counties, allowing them to allocate up to 10 million digital assets. So if approved and signed into law, the bill would take effect on September 1st, 2025. So I read that a little bit quickly, but this goes into effect if it does get passed September 1st, 2025. What I wanted to show you was this. Things are moving in the right direction. It just takes a little bit more time. I know everybody wants to be rich now, but if you want to do that, go try to trade meme coins and get wrecked. So just relax. It's going to happen. It'll be okay. Just let it take over. So that's what we have in that one. And then lastly, to round it out for the hopium section, Franklin Templeton filed a prospectus for an XRP ETF on top of a lot of different institutions filing for ETFs. This is all great news, but I want you to remember something, which is this. ETFs are great if they get approved. And apparently the SEC just delayed the decision on the 6 that maybe you own amid market chaos. So the SEC, of course, that is being overseen right now by Hester Pierce. She is the acting director when Gary Gensler stepped down or was forced down or whatever. The SEC has delayed decision on several ETF applications, specifically those based on Solana, XRP, Litecoin, and Dogecoin. So I don't expect these ETFs to be approved. I expect the altcoins to take a little bit of a hit. But again, it's all in a very short time bubble, and we'll see what it all takes. I still think we're in the right place at the right time, even though people say that this is like the worst thing of all time. We talked about this yesterday. The coronavirus, the same thing in March 17, 2020, and how we're kind of like getting like second opportunities to get into at lower prices. But, you know, that's just how I see it. Anyhow, let me know what you think. And that is it for today. So look, if you like today's video, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing. Everything talk about is time sensitive. Now we'll get into a little Q&A, and I'll answer all your questions as best I can. And 100 Air says, eggs are better than chicken. I have to agree. If we're talking about prices, apparently the prices of eggs have gone down substantially. That's what I hear in some new report. I haven't personally seen that. I'm in Puerto Rico, and it's expensive everywhere. Eggs are, well, actually, everything's expensive in Puerto Rico, quite honestly. But eggs themselves, still super pricey. And I eat like 12 of those a day. So it's crushing me financially. Tessa says, is that your pool? No, this belongs to Fiverr, fiverr.com. Shout out to Fiverr. I have connection to Canada if anyone needs maple syrup. This is true because there is, of course, they're putting tariffs on that, so 25% and up. Eggs dominance chart, please. Hey, you know what's funny about that? Speaking of which, I could have sworn Ben has, I kid you not, on his site. If we're looking at the macro, let's just do a big search. The big search. Yeah. So here's his charts, prices, commodities. This guy thinks of everything. Holy smokes. He wasn't wrong. Can everybody see this? We need to do an eggs dominance. That would be a good one. Look at that egg price. Well, that was back in, okay, let's zoom in, shall we? All right. January 2023. You would think that in, 2020, we'd see a big jump because of the problem with that coronavirus. But here we are, $2 in 2022, and it peaked out last time in 2023. Then we fell substantially. And of course, there was a culling of massive amounts of chickens because of some new disease that was going to wipe out everybody. Sure. And now we're at 5.97. Hold on. 382, 365, about $5. $5 for a dozen? I don't know what this actually is. The average price of a dozen. Sound off in the comment section. That's not what I'm paying. I'm paying like $11, $10 for a dozen here. I'm not kidding. And then if I get to go to Costco and they actually have some in, then it's reasonably priced, but that's what it is. So yes. And of course, an egg dominance chart is coming up. Everybody short eggs. Ben needs packaging boxes dominance for recession indicator. Very good. $5 for the organic at Wegmans in New York City. Save the eggs. Save the eggs for me. RSI for eggs is maxed out by the egg dip. Gee, many Christmas. It's $12 here. $7 in San Antonio. I'll take it. JF says, have you or Ben talked about the death cross in the near future? Usually, like these death crosses that I keep hearing about, it's that really isn't too much of like a death cross per se. Tom Crown had a great video on death crosses and golden crosses and how they pretty much, they do almost the inverse of what you think they would do. But yeah, death cross just sounds bad, but it's all about price action. Old Guy Tech, I paid $7 for a dozen 2 days ago. It's pretty good. $1 an egg is insane, but it's worth it. Why would you buy XRP? Maybe it's going to be the new standard. I don't know. Maybe it's going to be $589 per XRP. I'm not that guy that believes that. But yeah, I had I had some drinks with a friend yesterday, and he's a big XRP maxi. And we were just talking about it. And I asked him, I go, man, why are you why do you like XRP? Like, what's new? What's going on? What's the big thing? Why are you still behind it? And he's like, yeah, there's some partnerships. And I was like, well, what kind of partnerships? Like, he's like, well, some things with the banks and globally, and then Japan's like 40% of their transaction volume. And I'm like, okay, what else? And he's like, that's all I know. I said, so why do you like XRP so much? He goes, Rob, just come out of this. He goes, I don't care really what it does, but as long as it makes me money. And I was like, thank you. That's an honest answer. And I can appreciate that. He was like, yeah. He goes, people in the XRP army, and this is not me. This is a friend. He's just saying, he's like, they're delusional. They're crazy. I mean, they think it's going to be like the greatest thing of all time. He goes, if they look at what XRP and Ripple are doing, as far as like with the CBDCs behind the scenes, he goes, that's not decentralization. That's not where we should be. I go, so why do you like it? So you like it so much because? He goes, it makes me money. I was like, thanks. Well, that's not going to be a very popular comment, but it was the truth, and that's just how it is. Rob, did you scoop up Bitcoin sub 80K? No. I think I put a limit order in at 81K, and I was ecstatic that it got filled. So that's about it. Golden egg cross, organic pasture raised eggs, egg coin, XRP. Did you really make this green screen? Yes, I did. I heard on Reddit that Rob invented XRP. This could be true. It's like the way they rip you. Yeah, me too. I only come here for the trolls. Let's see. Rob, what's your honest opinion of Solana at the moment? Look, I mean, it works. People can say, we can make the argument about is it decentralized or centralized, and uptime and non-uptime, and what are bots and whatnot, but it can handle a lot of transactions. Let's just call a spade a spade. And every different crypto product has its own great thing that it does, or good thing that it does. And Solana is doing quite well. However, I have seen that the fees have increased a little bit. Now, I don't know if it's the actual platform or not, but it used to be fractions of a penny. Now I get transaction costs of like 3 cents, 4 cents, somewhere around there. And I'll tell you specifically where I got that from. That's when I use TANGEM wallet, when I have USDC on the Solana rails and I want to move it over to COINBASE to do whatever I need to do with it. About 3 or 4 cents. Now, is that going to crush me? No, it's not going to crush me. But I'm like, these fees used to be a lot less. I don't know what happened. Solana, I think, is undervalued. I think it'll still rip and it'll still do well. Again, do I believe it's like the best thing of all time and it's going to take over the world? No, I do not. Because I think we still got a long ways to go. Do you think Solana will outperform Ethereum in the rest of the cycle? It's tough to say because it really comes down to what kind of support is Ethereum going to get for whatever it has to be. And I just wanted to stress that I want everybody to take a look at stable coins and what layer one's stable coins are built on, because that's going to be the game changer. And I'm going to tell you why. I've shown this before. And actually, we were talking about this yesterday. Documents. I needed HIJ on a P. Stable. Aha. Stable coins versus Visa and MasterCard. This just came out it was originally on River, but this was an actual piece of where they took a look at the transactional volume. And you can see that in 2019-20, let me make sure you can see this because I know you can't. Comments. Topic. Good one, Chris. So we can see that, okay, Visa's in this, I don't know, Zelensky green t-shirt color. MasterCard is gray. American Express is like a purplish, and blue is stable coins. And you can see from 2019 and 2023, it really wasn't on par, especially for Visa. Visa is the king of transactional volume globally. But what do you see here? This is in trillions, mind you. 2024, it took off. Why would stablecoins work so well? Have you ever used stablecoins outside of Ethereum layer 1? If you do, you'll know why people chose to use this globally across the world. And this, first of all, it's super fast, it's super cheap, and it's super easy. And if you have a smartphone, which even if you're in a third world country, many people do. I'm talking like 85, 90% plus. I know it's crazy, but that's the statistics. When you have something like this and stable coins and you have people who are unbanked and they can use it from phone to phone, great. And they have access to the US dollar, which, let's be honest, it's probably the strongest fiat currency so far. Will it collapse? Yeah, at some point. It's not going to happen tomorrow. So the whole point of this, as I'm saying, is just take a look at USDC and Tether. You can also take a look at RLUSD. That's fine. Take a look at which one of those layer one solutions have integrated with USDC and Tether. And I think those are the winners. All right. Hope I answered your question on that one. A little bit long. Sorry. USDT 5. I don't know about that. People are so broke. Mischief Night no longer exists. I think so. Retro Beast. Hey, Rob, I think I reached a point where I'm dead inside that it doesn't matter if the price goes up or down. I've become one with the volatility. M2 delay overlay by 110 days. Scary accurate, by the way. Yeah, I saw that. I think that's Colin Talks Crypto. Good guy. Real nice. Yeah, M2 money supply globally. Sure. I'd like to take a look at the US money supply because, I mean, granted, global money supply, there's a lot of weak currencies out there. So I like to take mostly looking at the dollar because I'm a homer and I'm an American. That's just how I think. But yeah, if we start to, I think we just did a big increase of the M2 money supply, not to be confused with how China did they did a reorganization of how they determine their M1 money supply, not to be confused with an actual increase. But yeah, this, and they're talking about first, I believe it was 45 days, right? Then it was 77 days after the big pump. Now it's 110 days. Regardless, if you just take a look at those time frames, where are we? We're in the year 2025, and the 4-year cycles are still intact. So I'll take it, and we'll see what happens. And yes, exactly, America. We need Bitcoin Crocs. Nobody needs Crocs. They are an abomination, but boy, they sure are comfortable, aren't they? I don't know what that means. Chris. Wow. Come to the UK for your eggs. $3.14 pound for a box of 12. It is pretty good. Uncle Ricky, wait, Rob, this is the live stream so late at night. I was just going to put my teeth in the glass for the night. Ricky, that's a good one. Yeah, I like to do these more later now because I find that I'm kind of rushing through the day to do all the rest of the stuff I want to do. And then if I just let all the news kind of percolate, then I can just pick up all the news, what's going on, the sentiment of the market, and just kind of see where things land. When I go later at night, I get all that stuff and just kind of give it to everybody as like, here's your summary for the night. And then that's it. And yeah, I say it all pounds a pound. May, perhaps so. Foopy says, has anyone ever seen Bob and Rob in the same room? It's done with mirrors, but it's happened. BitBoy's book with crayons. I think he already did write a book, matter of fact. Hello, Tristan. Good for people. That is hearsay and potentially fake news. And XRP Army, I've heard of market cap. Yeah, that's pretty good. All this talk about eggs and avocados has made me quite hungry. I got to get out of here. So let's see. So Fox, I'll do it like this. Does Ben have an M2 chart on his site overlay the Bitcoin chart? I think we've talked about this many times on this program. So actually, there's a couple different ways to do it. First of all, you can do this if you want to overlay it on anything, essentially. There's this thing called Workbench. And you can put in whatever metric you want to add in the crypto world, macroverse and equityverse, which is pretty cool. And like on this one, I did the M2 money supply and housing, which was the US average sale price of houses sold. And I just showed how like people think they're geniuses in the market as far as real estate, myself included, but it's not that we're geniuses, just that the money printer goes burr. That's pretty much it. And then we can see, let's overlay the Bitcoin price. I can show that. Same thing. We can zoom in. like that. And if you don't want to make your own, you can just go to dashboard charts, actually. M2 money supply. And you can overlay it with the S&P 500, and you can see it almost tracks it. I mean, it doesn't track it perfectly, obviously. Look at these dips. This is why I say, like, it's not just about the money supply. It can't be, because if it was just about the money supply, right? You see the money supply is going up. But what's happening with the S&P 500? It's dumping like crazy. This was in the 70s. So, but the general trend, yes, is of course going this way. And which is why people love the S&P 500, right? But if you like the S&P 500, you're going to love Bitcoin. I mean, if you can get past the volatility, and we can just zoom in here as well, and we can see that, yes, liquidity is fantastic, but it's not the end all be all, right? Here's 2013. Money supply went up, Bitcoin went down. Money supply goes up, Bitcoin goes up. Money supply goes up, Bitcoin goes down. Money supply goes way up, Bitcoin goes way up, and it still keeps going up, but Bitcoin goes down. Again, liquidity is great. We need liquidity, but that's not all it is. And that's why there's a lot of factors out there. And that's a whole nother video for another day. That's it for tonight. So look, everybody, if you like today's video, thumbs up, subscribe, all that great stuff. Get out of here. Go enjoy the rest of your night or day or wherever you're at. Thanks so much for stopping by. I appreciate you. I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.